that. And one of the things we became aware of was information. People need to be getting actual information, real information. I don't know how many of you guys know, but when you get on your phones, you get in an algorithm and you get set the same stuff that reinforces everything that you, and so then you can go down little rabbit holes with things that aren't real accurate. So we thought, well, rather than reading, and at that point I remember we were saying, like, everybody's saying Head Start's going to end, you know, all the cuts to Head Start is going to happen. So we got superintendents in here to talk about what the monetary thing was. So we've had people talking about work and how work has changed throughout the years. We've had people come in and talk about, you're going to have to help me here.
We've had labor unions.
Labor unions.
We're going to have one coming up on Civics 101.
Yeah. And immigration. AI.
Yep.
We talked about AI. We talked about digital privacy. So, you know, just things that people need to have some more information about and how to come together. But it became a realization to us that people are struggling and things are heavy. And although we are a very bipartisan organization, we are not here to push any party one way or the other. We are here to bring people together. But, and I've never said anything like this before when I've been talking to people, but it's real heavy right now. I mean, 175 children being bombed in a school. You know, finding out about a huge international trafficking ring and what actually happened. That's heavy stuff. And I don't care where you are on the political spectrum, I'm hoping that that stuff is heavy for you. So we really encourage people from all walks of political or community life to come, but typically we get a lot of the same people. And, we're trying to work on that. I have a quick question. How many of you are from outside of the White Lake area? Okay, that's good. I'm glad to see that we are keeping, you know, I'm glad we're open to anybody. So I'm really glad to see that we have a couple of people outside. How many of you have never been here before, have never been to one of our forums? Okay, all right. Well, welcome. Welcome, everybody. We're really glad you're here. So let's see. So one of the things we talked about was how we need to really care for ourselves, because in a community, we all have to be healthy. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this, but in the Maori tribe, they think of their community as a circle, and that's, you know, that's who they are within that circle. And each person is a link within that circle. And your circle is only as strong as the weakest link. So you try to strengthen those weak links. You put your energy towards the areas that are concerning. And right now, it might just be us, and we have to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of each other and so we can take care of the community. And with that, we decided that we needed to have somebody come and talk to us about it. Before I introduce Lisa, Julie Essenberg is a local legend at this point. Yes, you are, with her poetry. And she wrote a poem about this, and I asked her if she would read it.
Okay, really, so this is how I cope with things, is writing, and I've done a lot of writing. This is called Keeping My Head Above Water. There are days the news comes in like a tide, cold, relentless, pulling at the ankles of my calm. Headlines stack like sandbags against the fragile doors of morning. Voices rise, certainties crack, the air feels heavier than it should. And I ask myself, not about the world, but about my pulse. Am I breathing deep enough? Have I drunk water? There is a place with fear. Have I stepped outside long enough to remember that the sky still keeps its promises? Keeping my head above water is not a weakness, it is work. It is choosing to turn off the noise before it dawns the quiet where my spirit rests. It is letting the dishes wait while I sit in sunlight and allow my shoulders to recover softness. It is calling a friend, not to solve the world, but to laugh at something small and stubbornly human. There is courage in tending the garden of my own mind. When storms circle overhead, there is defiance and rest. There is wisdom in saying, today I will not carry what has never been mine to hold. I check my heart like a lighthouse keeper. Is the lamp still lit? Is the glass cracked? Does a beam still sweep the horizon for something hopeful? If it flickers, I do not shame it. I trim the wick, I shield it with my hands, and let it burn steady again. The world may roar, but I am allowed to float, to breathe, to pause, to remember that staying afloat is not surrender, it is survival, and survival is sacred.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, I have known Lisa for a very long time. And I'm not going to tell you how long because then that would reveal our youthful age. Right? But she has done a lot to bring the link between science and emotional well-being into the Muskegon area. She has spoken at many conferences and been a keynote speaker, just very well respected in how to kind of take care of yourself. Let me just read this. Grounded in neuroscience, Lisa helps individuals understand how stress impacts the brain and intentional action. With practical research-based tools, Lisa empowers people to build resilience, strengthen self-awareness, and even move from reactive survival mode to calm, purposeful living. Her message is clear. Even in challenging times, the capacity for healing and growth already lives within you. So, Lisa, help us find that, okay?
Hi. So I have to say, in all of the presentations that I've done, I've worked in mental health, I've worked in the schools for 30 years in Muskegon County. I've worked with all populations of kids from DK up into high school. I've worked in gen ed settings. I've worked in a segregated setting for students with emotional impairments. That's my professional life. My personal life, I feel sometimes like I'm an imposter when I talk about these things because I too am human, you know? So I'm hearing the news. I have family, you know, I have extended family, I have neighborhoods that I, you know, visit. And so I get dysregulated on the daily. So if I were to stand here and say, you know, if you buy this, you're gonna be feeling zen and floating about your day every day, it would be a lie because that's not life. I also have a private practice where now that I retired last year from the schools, I've had a private practice, I don't know, for probably 15 years, but just like small. And so now I have an office in North Muskegon, and I love doing the private practice, but I'm also now doing a little bit of work in Duck Creek, which is an alternative school in White Lake or Whitehall. So I've also talked to hospital employees. I've been asked to go to construction sites and talk to men who are telling each other to F off every day, and you know. So I feel like the topic that we're going to discuss encapsulates all of our humanity. And what I love about private practice and what I love about working with people individually is when you say to somebody, what's going on? Are you okay? Most of our responses are like, I'm fine, it's okay, you know, hi, how you doing? We all just kind of pass like that. But I appreciate when people say, I'm an effing mess. I feel like I'm losing my mind, I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't, like, then it's like, okay, now we can start talking about it. And if everybody was honest and we all talked about it, we would reduce the shame that is attached to it, because we think we're the only ones who feel that way. Or maybe we do share with somebody and we get shut down with some sort of opposing view, and so we bury it. And so there's a saying in mindfulness, name it to tame it. So when we actually start talking about our thoughts and feelings in a place that's safe, it reduces that amount of anxiety and stress and tension, okay? So I have a lot of slides, and I never know in any one of my presentations what we're gonna end up talking about. So I'm not attached to getting through all of them. My intention is that when we leave this time together today, that we all just feel a little bit more uplifted and hopeful. And we all feel that we're seen and heard. So personally, I have 2 kids. Jimmy Cobb is a local artist. You might see some of his stuff in murals around Muskegon County. He lives in Milwaukee now. And I have a son, Noah Cobb, who's 21, who's totally opposite. He's introverted, gamer. So I've had to learn how to parent 2 different kinds of kids. My husband, Frank Cobb, is a realtor. And so maybe some of you know him too. All right. The norms for today is that I want you to be kind to yourself and to others. If you have a clarifying question, ask it. If you have a noticing, maybe write it down or share it at the end of our talk. We'll have a time to kind of debrief a little bit. Does that sound fair? So we're currently living history. Powerful transformational events. We're experiencing a time of radical change. The world will never be the same. We are either in upheaval and maybe illumination. And I guess the way that I choose to kind of look at everything that's happening, even if we talk about the weather, and we talk about volcanoes, and we talk about earthquakes, and we talk about flooding, and then everything that is happening with our finances. I mean, we could just go on and on and on and list all kinds of stressors, right? We can also be illuminated a little bit, because a lot of the stuff that we are seeing and feeling has been kind of hiding in the shadows. It's been under the surface. So at least now, some of these things are coming out into the open, and we get to decide individually and collectively, what do we want to do about that? But most importantly, how am I going to feel about all of these things that I can't control? So, how many of you guys are feeling chronic exhaustion, maybe wired and tired? Yeah? Sleep disrupted. It might just be hard. Hello, come on in. Bring your baby. Your sleep disturbed, like maybe we're not sleeping as sound. I know I've been waking up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if that's age or what's happening in the world, but I usually have to pee and then I can't fall back asleep. Appetite changes, or like upset stomach, burning stomach, constipation, all kinds of things that are happening with what we're taking in and what we're not digesting emotionally, physically, and biologically. Find yourself more susceptible to colds or flus or other illnesses. Okay? So then we look at even that, everything that happened with COVID, and then a resurgence of COVID. And are we supposed to get a booster shot, a booster, or not? There's just all these opposing points of view. We don't know what we should do that is right anymore. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do today is to try to be in the present moment. So we all have a past. We all have thousands and thousands of stories that bring us here to this moment and today. And a lot of us are concerned about the future. Is your baby keeping? Is that what you saying? And then this is the beauty of life, right? So really try to be present today, okay? And in this moment and right now, and kind of take this stuff in for you, okay? I've showed this forever, but I think this is so funny. Can I call you back, Ed? I'm in the moment here. So I just want us to breathe a little tiny bit. And again, this isn't attached to any kind of religion. This is attached to our biology. You know, so if we can just kind of sit, feet flat on the floor, sit up straight, being still, being quiet, letting our body be relaxed, yet we're still alert. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, that's okay too. Just like softly gaze at something in front of you. So we're just gonna do a little bit, of breathing. Oh, my heart's beating really fast. So you're gonna notice, how is your heart? Beating fast. How does your belly feel? Hungry, thirsty, tension. We're going to breathe in through our nose. We're going to breathe in to the count of 4. We're going to hold it for 4 and then let out for 4. You can breathe in through your nose if you can. If you can't, you can breathe through your mouth. Then we just hold it and breathe into our belly, not into our upper chest, but into our belly. We're going to breathe in, hold it, and then you can blow out your nose or your mouth. Okay, so we're going to breathe in, hold it, really let your belly expand, and out. And as you're doing that, let your shoulders just relax just a little tiny bit. And then we'll breathe in again. When you think you're full, take a little bit more. Hold it and out. And before we take this last one, just kind of check in at the top of your head. Relaxing the top of your head, your forehead, your eyes, your nose, your jaw, your tongue, around the sides of your head, down the back of your head, your neck, your shoulders. Let your head, face, neck relax down into your shoulders. From your shoulders down both arms, from your shoulders to your elbows, elbows to your wrists, your hands, all your fingers, just relax. Continue to breathe in. If you feel any tension in your face, neck, shoulders, arms, just breathe in. When you breathe out, just soften. Bring your attention to the back of your neck and run your attention down your whole spine. Upper back, middle back, lower back, down into your tailbone. Just relaxing, coming around your hips and pelvis. Relaxing down into your legs. From your hips to the top of your legs, side of your legs, back of your legs, inner legs, your knees. Top of your knees, side of your knees, back of your knees, around the other side. Just relaxing. Again, top of your head, face, neck, shoulders, arms, down your back, down into your hips, legs, knees, calves, shins, ankles, top of your feet, bottom of your feet, all of your toes, from your big toes to your little toes. Just noticing where are you holding tension and just relaxing. Bringing your attention up into your belly. Take a nice deep breath into your belly again. Out. Up into your rib cage. breathing in and expanding your rib cage. Out. And then into your heart. Breathe into your heart. And out. Okay, and then just, if your eyes are closed, just slowly open your eyes and wiggle your fingers and toes. And I used to ask, like, how many people liked it? How many people didn't like it? It's usually about 50-50. A lot of people are like, I flipped. Some people are like, can't do that, don't want to do that. So you're just noticing for your own self, okay? The more that we practice our breathing, it doesn't even have to be that long. So we're in a situation that's stressful, hits our stuff. You just take a nice deep breath, kind of blow it out, settle your own body. People don't even know. I've got a screaming student in my face screaming at me. They don't know that I'm standing there taking a nice deep breath, being present with them, but I'm regulating me. So much of what hits us is based on our worldview. So our worldview is our lens, which we interpret individually, how we understand the world and what we believe our place is in it. So our worldview is our identity. So who are you? Who's the sense of self? Right? So we could spend an afternoon just on this slide breaking it down, right? So the sense of who you are, what your values are, what your moral standards are, and what you even define as a moral or a principle of behavior. What do you expect as a person or as a group of people? Okay. Our beliefs, something that you accept to be true, you know, and it can be a simple belief that carrot cake is better than banana bread, right? That's my belief system. Or it can be something more global. We have this worldview, the lens and how we see it, an overall perspective, which our world is interpreted. So Sue said something at the beginning about, you know, it's a bipartisan group that comes together. Well, basically what we're saying is we all have our own worldview, but what we've agreed upon is that in this space and time, we're not going to go at it. You know, we're not going to argue our belief systems. We're trying to, in a space like this, figure out who am I and where do I fit in the world and why do I believe the things that I do. And is believing the things that I do and being triggered by people who don't have the same worldview as me, am I killing myself? Am I poisoning myself with my own thoughts and beliefs? So we resist change, any kind of change. Our brains are wired to see a change as a threat, any change. Even if we go on vacation and stay in a beautiful luxury hotel, right? We still walk in, am I safe, am I not safe? Get the layout, where's all the stuff, right? We're constantly assessing our environment. We don't like change. And even people that are like, I love change, I love blah, blah, blah. They have an awareness of their own self that's like, they've done something that they can feel safe even within that change. So maybe they've practiced it thousands of times, right? But we, as humans, don't like change. And it's a visceral reaction. Our bodies react to that stress. So even when there's no physical threat, our brains still see it as a danger, first off, okay? I always tell students if they walk into the classroom and they have a substitute teacher, what do, right? Who's the substitute teacher? You know, do I like them or not like them? Are they male? Are they female? Are they going to be nice? Are they going to be, you know, and we do it all the time. We walk into the grocery store. Oh, I like how this is, you know, I like the lighting. So constantly we're assessing our environment. So a Harvard study found that on average, our minds are distracted 47% of the time. So of all the time that I'm talking, most of the time, you're going to be off thinking about something else, right? We have on average 70,000 thoughts a day. So that's everything. from how am I going to walk from here to there, and blah, blah, blah. We're constantly thinking, and every one of those thoughts, we have a decision to make. So as much as we think, oh, there's a fork in the road and I have this big decision to make, we make 70,000 decisions a day. Like, am I going to address this situation, or am I going to ignore it? Am I going to move this way, or am I going to move that way? That's pretty overwhelming, I think. We also have something called the locus of control. We want to be in control of our life. And basically our unhappiness comes from, if people did things the way we wanted them to do them, we would be happy. Why can't everybody just do what I want them to do? Then I will be happy. And we realize really the only thing we can control is our attitude, our reactions, our thoughts, boundaries, words, self-care, our work ethic or home ethic, whatever our ethics are, our lifestyle habits, our behavior, and how we spend our time. What we can't control is other people's opinions, the economy, others' actions, others' mistakes, financial obligations like rent or mortgage or things like that, gas prices, other people's words, the news, others' beliefs, the weather. So those are just a few things. We could spend a half an hour just writing down different things that we can't and can control, right? So how do we feel when we're experiencing the stuff outside our locus of control? Frustrated, right. Anxious. Yeah. Angry. Stressed. Uncomfortable.
Out of control.
Out of control. Yeah. What'd you say?
He asked me if he frustrated me.
Oh, right. Our partners and our family get it the worst, right? Like, we go out in public and generally we're like, oh, Frank was going to come today. He ended up showing a house, but he was going to come, and I was a little nervous. Sometimes I talked about him. But again, kind of that imposter syndrome, right? He also sees me on Saturday mornings when the news comes out, and I'm sitting there drinking coffee and bawling my eyes out. He also sees me when, one of the kids says or does something that opposes how we were raised, and I have the frustration of that. So this being human is a beautiful thing, and I feel like for a lot of years I thought, well, I'm not good enough or well-versed enough to teach these things, do these things, be these things, because I'm not them 100% of the time. And then I asked, would I expect anybody else in the world to do this 100% of the time? No, I would not. So there might be some medical people in here who have a much better knowledge of how the brain works. But this, I feel like, saved my life, literally, when I understood this. So it must have been 15 years ago now. I was working in the setting for students with emotional impairments. And it was a particularly violent year. And I thought for sure that somebody was going to get hurt seriously or killed. My boys were little, and it was enough where I had one of our Congress people come in. The police, the Muskegon Police Department was at our building multiple times a week. I thought, am I going to take a knife or a bullet to save other people's children and have my two boys grow up without a mom? So he started what's called monkey mind. And so I would think about it all of the time, including I would leave my keys in my car in the parking lot so that if it came down to that, maybe I would just leave. Well, that's horrible. What kind of social worker leaves a building full of violence, right? A mom that doesn't want her kids to grow up without a mom. So went to a conference in Frankenmuth with 3 of my coworkers. It was beautiful, sunny. Like today it was winter, but it was like gonna get away. Frankenmuth, beer, food, fun. Get a call from our principal who said a student had in fact brought a knife in that day to school. It was just a 3-inch blade. I was like, well, that's enough to kill somebody, you know. So I go to bed that night in the hotel, sharing it with a coworker, and I wake up at 2 in the morning and I think I'm probably having a heart attack. Like, I'm sweaty, I've got like tunnel vision, my heart, I can just feel my heart, I can't breathe, I'm dizzy. So I go to her bed and I wake her up and I'm like, I think I'm dying, like there's something the matter. So we call an ambulance and they come and they do all kinds of wonderful tests and they say, have you ever had a panic attack before? And I said, well, no, my mom has had them, so I know what they are. And they're like, we're 98% sure that that's what it is. Your sugar is fine, like whatever tests they do, it's fine. We can drive you 20 minutes to the nearest hospital from Frankenmuth. Or you can, you know, call your primary care, whatever. So they left, but it was 4 in the morning then. And I was still like just dysregulated, right? Like, I've never had a seizure, but people who've had seizures say that they feel like when you come out of a panic attack, you feel like you've had a seizure, like you're dysregulated. So I was with my coworkers. A couple of social workers came back, went to my primary care, that's what it was. Gave me some Xanax to have PRN, which I still carry with me everywhere I go, just in case I have a panic attack. But we had 2 wonderful principals that were working at Wesley School, and I said to my coworkers and my principals, like, I think I'm going crazy. Like, I think I'm losing my mind. And I don't want to be on medication for the rest of my life. Like, what's going on? So, as the universe would have it, we found a class called Mindfulness, and it was in Grand Rapids, and 2 of my social work colleagues went with me, and this is what they taught us. And I said, this is gonna save my life, and this is gonna help me help kids, and this is gonna help me help the staff, and everybody on the planet. Like, I just love this stuff. So, since then, like, I've been certified through Mindful Schools. I spent an entire year learning about mindfulness and going to upstate New York and all kinds of stuff. But simplistically stated, this is how our brain works. And this is why when any of that external locus of control is presented to us, our amygdala, which when I do this with kids, I have little puppets of these animals, and they remember this. The amygdala is like our bodyguard, and we have 2 amygdala glands, 1 on each side of the brain, and they are operating to protect us 24 hours a day, even when we're sleeping. So if we wake up to a loud sound, we wake up, we sit up, what was that? Am I safe or not safe? Oh, that was just thunder. Oh, I love a thunderstorm. Oh, that was just thunder. Oh my God, I hate a thunderstorm, right? Like, depending on your life story, what you hear is how you're gonna react to whatever that noise was. But am I safe or not safe? And break it down even further, could I potentially die? So our amygdala is scanning, am I safe or not safe, through our 5 senses. So what we see, what we smell, what we taste, what we hear, and what touches us. Okay, 24 hours a day. We block most of that out, right? But if I asked all of you to feel like, can you feel your hair on your face? You brought your attention to that right now? Yes, you can. Or how your shirt is fitting you, or how it feels to sit on your seat, right? So, when we look around the room, like I said earlier, we're always assessing, is this environment something that's conducive to my comfort, or is this uncomfortable for me? You know, we can notice, I don't think I notice everything, but I notice if something changes. You know, so if you're walking through your neighborhood or whatever, you're not noticing always every tree in every house or whatever, but you're like, do they always have those shutters, right? Like, we're taking it in. And we're asking, am I safe or not safe? And if we don't feel safe, then our body engages and releases cortisol and adrenaline. And it says we need to fight, run, hide. Now it's fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and faint or something. Is it faint? Is that the fifth one? And that's what we do. Day or night, consciously or unconsciously. Okay? And the way that our amygdala assesses that is through our hippocampus, which is a part of our brain that just stores our memories. So what is that? Hippocampus, and our hippocampus says that's a fire truck. Oh, is the fire truck coming towards our house or away from our house or past our house? Oh, it went past our house. I'm safe. Well, where is everybody else? Where is it heading? It's heading down the road to my neighbors. Should I be worried? You know, on and on, but it's all stored in our memory. So the amygdala asks the hippocampus, are we okay or we're not okay? And then our amygdala reacts or ignores. And our prefrontal cortex, which is the executive functioning, the wise part of our brain in our forehead, is turned off when our amygdala is fired. So when we don't feel safe, real or perceived, so really don't feel safe, or we're just perceiving that we're not safe, our prefrontal cortex goes offline. And that's why we can run really fast when we're in danger. That's why people can lift cars off of loved ones, right? Where does that come from? Because all of our adrenaline and cortisol is running. So when we say to kids and to each other, let's take a deep breath, let's get a drink of water, let's go for a walk, let's go down the hallway, let's do this. It's distracting our brain from that fight, flight, or freeze. And it's telling our body, we're okay, we're not in danger, we're not going to die. And then our executive functioning opens back up. Our prefrontal cortex comes back online. And then we go, oh, okay. Well, I think we can solve this problem together. So when we're talking about everything that's happening in our society, in our communities now, our amygdalas are fired a lot, right? So fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flop. So fight is just that. We're gonna give it back, right? We're gonna argue. Flight is we're gonna run from the situation. You know, freeze is historically like you're putting your head down, making yourself small. Okay. Fawn is just kind of pretending like nothing bothers you. It's okay. Sure. All right. I'll go do that. And flop is, like I said, just become unresponsive. So when we see kids do this, we're generally pretty accepting. Like, they're a toddler, they're a young child, they're going to go through these. We try to co-regulate with them, teach them how to come back to their prefrontal cortex. But as adults, if we haven't learned how to regulate our emotions and our behaviors, then we're still going to continue to exhibit these behaviors. And it feels very reactionary and unconscious. So when we know the owl and the lion and the elephant that remembers everything, when we know, oh, that's what's happening in my brain, what am I going to do to calm my body down so that I can think clearly, okay? When you can't think clearly, again, this is where I feel like, I'm a big fake up here, because I do react too. Like we say, that's when we go, oh man, I should have not said that. So we should have, would have, could have ourselves, and we hide ourselves in shame because we blasted back at our partner like, I don't know, why'd you spill the coffee? Whatever. So our body has a sympathetic and parasympathetic reactions. So when we are feeling that we are in danger, it's like we are putting our foot on the gas, right? So we're just like, our heart rate goes up, our digestion goes down, our pupils dilate, we're just flying, we're in survival mode. When we do the things that we know calm our own selves down, that's our parasympathetic. Reducing your heart rate, increasing your digestion, and how your body's responding. So our nervous system releases the flood of adrenaline and cortisol. Our bodies are prepared for emergency action. And our heart pounds, muscles are tense, tight, breath shallow up here, right? So when we're taking our mindful breaths, we're breathing from down here. You see a baby that's sound asleep, their belly's up, and their belly's down, right? If they're totally relaxed, we can just watch them do that. When they're dysregulated, right? So we start breathing quickly and shallow, and our senses become really sharp. When we're doing that, our cholesterol goes up. We're not digesting. Our metabolism is off. Our blood is clotting. Our stomach is secreting acid. Increased production in blood sugar, so we have that energy, and we become inflamed, and our blood pressure increases. So it impacts sleep, thyroid, blood pressure, blood sugar, muscles, bones, fertility, immunity, memory. And if our body stays in that fight or flight, if those taps stay open, it is harder and harder and harder to shut them down. So we can't sleep at night. We can't sit in stillness. We can't read a book. We can't go for a walk through the woods without wanting to talk on the phone or not even being aware of our surroundings. And when we do that, we get sick. So I always say my body is truly a master manifester of disease. Like if I am off here and I am off in how I'm feeling love towards myself and other people, I literally do get sick. So last weekend I hurt my low back. It's been, this morning was still bad, but this afternoon is good. But what does everybody in my family say? What are you suppressing? What are you holding on to? Yeah, so they're trained. So I take this from school. We teach something in school called therapeutic crisis intervention. And so we teach this to teachers and we teach this to parents. But basically what this is showing is that we all have a pre-crisis state, a baseline. A baseline is your normal behavior. Now, does everybody in here have the same baseline? No. But if you know your friends and your family well, you know what their baseline is. So you can tell if something is different. And you're like, hey, what's up? Nothing. You're like, oh no, something's up, right? Something is different about their baseline. Well, if there's something that agitates us, a triggering event, something external, usually. A lot of times maybe we're thinking about something that happened in the past or projecting out into the future, and our brain can't tell the difference between what is real and what is perceived. So when you watch the Olympics and you see the Olympians with their headphones on, you know, they're in their own space. A lot of times, those things that they're listening to is working them through the event, right? If we listen to something that's working us through, let's say our sprinting event, and we're in that zone, our muscles, even if we're sitting still, are firing as if we're doing it. Like we're creating muscle memory when we practice things over and over again. So something triggers us and we feel a slight agitation, or we can see that in somebody else's baseline, they're off of their baseline. If we don't do anything to bring ourselves back down into recovery or help other people come down into recovery, we oftentimes elevate up into aggression, escalation, okay? So we might go from pacing and crying or shaking or something when we're agitated to nothing is the matter, right? Nothing, I told you, stop asking me, right? So we're agitated, we're a bit aggressive, going back and forth. If we don't do something to help ourselves or somebody else come back down to recovery, we elevate into violence. And violence is the purposeful intent of hurting yourself or hurting somebody else. So in education, we would say, if a student comes in and they're all elevated, they've been triggered by something, nobody's helped them, something happened in the hallway, let's say, they come in, they're agitated, they're triggered. If we don't go, hey, buddy, what's going on? Are you all right? You know, they're not their usual baseline. We try to help them process through. If we don't, they might toss a desk. You know, then we as school staff have to go, well, he didn't toss it at me. He just tossed it. His intention wasn't to hurt himself or hurt me. So he was aggressive and he wasn't violent. So then we start to look at what's happening in our society, right? That there is, maybe there used to just be more agitation, and then we elevate it into aggression and more violence. So when we are up here, I didn't know I had a pointer, thank you. If we are up here in this outburst phase, are we connected to our prefrontal cortex? No. We are in our reptilian brain, our survival brain that says, I am not safe, and therefore I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that I'm not killed, but that you are. You know, I'm not hurt, but you are. Okay? And it isn't until we get down into this recovery that prefrontal cortex turns back on, and then we say, what happened, right? So all in here, if we go, no, we don't swear, no, we don't talk like that, no, we don't believe that, if we're pushing back against somebody who's already elevated, are we gonna really get anywhere? No. So to me, this happens with when our little babies come into the world and we're teaching them that they're safe and all of the different ways that we make them feel safe. But it goes into when they become verbal and they're moving around and they're in school. And we all want, even at our ages now, somebody to regulate with us, somebody to sit down and say, are you okay? Are you really okay? What can I do to help? So we look at all of these feelings that we can have, right? So they break down into happy, surprised, bad, fearful, angry, disgusted, sad. And then all of the other feelings that come from that, and all of the other feelings that we can name that come from that. So when somebody says, how are you doing? There's a lot of different places that we can go, right? Huh?
About 6 after 2.
And this is just one feelings wheel. I mean, again, we could probably spend 15 minutes and break it down even further in an entire day on what worried means to you or what thankful means to you, right? So compression comes before clarity. Compression, all that stuff that's the external locus of control, stuff we can't control. The world feels like it can be collapsing or chaotic or heavy or even claustrophobic, like everything is kind of coming in on us. And so much is happening right now in a small window of time. You know, I think any one of the things, whether it's our own community or our country or our continent or our world, right? Any one of those things maybe would take at least a month to kind of ferret through, you know, if not longer. Now we're like boom, 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 boom. So are we living in that amygdala flood of adrenaline and cortisol more and more? Yes. So information and emotion are forced into this high pressure crush that we feel right now that eventually is going to reveal for each one of us what truly matters. Okay? And so it's kind of right now we're in this loading phase. So I liked this. I can't even remember where I heard it, but pain pushes us and vision pulls us, you know? And so right now we're in this alarm clock phase. Discomfort, crisis, suffering. It manifests oftentimes as that outrage and fear, right? The top of that picture that I showed you. And it seems that it feels impossible to remain indifferent, right? We can't anymore just be like, I don't care what happens, because it's impacting all of us, no matter how old we are or where we live anymore, right? So vision can pull us. It's like a magnet. It's a shift towards a compelling, desired future. So instead of fighting what we hate, we can work on building what we love, because I know what my worldview is and I know why. And I know what matters to me, and I know what matters to people in my community. And so we're going to build that. Okay? How can I start walking in that direction today, regardless of the chaos that's going around me, and what is trying to emerge through this? And in the emergence comes clarity. Clarity is like a rebound from that pressure. Creating a gap for clarity, true power comes when we can experience our reaction without being consumed by it. So we can react or we can respond. And some of us behavior trainers read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, right? So he says the power is in the pause. Something happens, we pause, and then we respond. Okay? If something happens and we just react to it, we don't take that pause. And that pause doesn't mean we have to hang out for hours. That pause is that immediate, all right, that got me. Why did that get me? I'm just gonna take a deep breath, check in, I can feel it. I feel like somebody just punched me in the gut. You know, I hate when people talk like that. You know, and you kind of process through it. Okay, I am fired up. I am in my reptilian brain. I want to make a decision that when I go to bed tonight or when I tell my children what I did in that situation, I feel like I was in control. It was my internal locus of control. It is how I choose to behave in a given setting. So when we react, again, that's that woulda, coulda, shoulda that we feel so guilty about. And oftentimes when we tell somebody off or we push up against them, in the immediate, we feel pretty good. But then once we start to settle and we connect with our prefrontal cortex, we're just like, oh man, well, he deserved it. Well, I should. Why doesn't that make me feel good, you know? So the insight, we often mistake the uncomfortableness of compression with a lack of progress, but in reality, the pressure is doing the work of editing our reality so that our collective clarity on the other side is undeniable. And this is what my peace is, my peace of mind, is, did you guys ever believe that in 2012 when the Mayan calendar was going to end? Did you ever hear that? Like the world was supposed to end because it was the end of the Mayan calendar. I was terrified. Yeah, I was like terrified. I was like, oh my God. Like I got candles and instant coffee and like just all this stuff. And my husband was like, what? And I was just like, oh, well, you know, we have to be prepared for 3 days of something, I don't know. But, you know, my kids were little. And I was just like, gosh, I've got to protect them. And what if this is real? And now I feel like there's so much information, right, with the internet. Like we can go down any rabbit hole and believe anything is real. But I was terrified. December 12th, 2012. And then when it was December 13th, I was like, well, I guess we're okay.
Yeah, right.
So I look at now, and I look at what just happened with Iran, or, you know, like I said to my husband, I've either evolved or I've lost my friggin' mind, but I feel like all of this stuff has always been there, and it's in the shadows. And it's not that it's our fight and we can argue about the who and the how and the whatever, but it's like, man, what I really want is this, that we can all, I got a migraine headache, I got a series of migraine headaches once when I was doing my internship for social work for my master's degree. And my site supervisor played mind games with me all of the time. Like would tell me, you don't have to get here until 8:30. And then I would find notes that she's like, she doesn't arrive till 8:30. You know, and I was like, and so I went back to my professors at school and I was like, well, do I say something or not say something? And they're like, you're so close to graduation, just don't say anything. And I had all these headaches. And then somebody said to me, you are the kind of person who needs to lay it all out. Like, put it all out there. We don't have to agree. You can tell me whatever. You can call. At least I know where you're coming from, and then maybe we can come to some kind of understanding or agreement. So I am like horrible at faking anything, you know? And all of my friends will say I might as well have a neon sign on my forehead that says how I'm feeling. So I might as well be honest about it. And so I feel like what's happening right now on our planet is this opportunity to go inward and say, this is really, really scary. And it's really, really uncomfortable. But if I don't take care of myself and come from this place and I'm just reacting, I'm not part of the solution. You know, because I can't think straight. So that doesn't mean I always think straight. You know, I'm going to lay in bed sometimes at 3 in the morning and think, God, is there going to be a nuclear attack? You know, well, I don't know, because if I'm truly in the present moment, it's not happening right then. You know, I'm in my house, everybody's safe that I know, right? Like I'm experiencing everything's okay, but I can go to the past. My brain can't tell that it's not happening. I can go to the future. My brain can't tell that it's not happening, so I might as well be in that war right now. I might as well be in that fight right now. I might as well be in that argument. I might as well think I'm too fat. Like I might as well do all the things that we think about. Oh, why didn't I exercise for all these years? Like whatever. Or I can say, yeah, this is really uncomfortable, but I don't want to feel like this. And when I am present with anybody else, whether I know them, love them, that's not who I want to be. And I don't deserve to be killing myself with all of the adrenaline and the cortisol. You know, you guys can look up all the studies on what cortisol does to our bellies, you know, and the inflammation that we carry around. And then we beat ourselves up, oh, I shouldn't eat ice cream. You know, we're just like, oh my gosh. You know, my husband has said to me, honey, be nice to my wife. Nobody would ever talk to you. You would never talk to anybody else the way that you talk to yourself. So you need to stop it, you know? So mindfulness is paying attention on purpose, like paying attention what's going on around you and what are you thinking and how are you manifesting that in your body on purpose. So consciously, in the present moment, what's here and right now, and without judgment. Oh, without judgment. That's all we do, right? We judge ourselves against other people. You know, we judge people when we see them. They're tall, they're short, they got, you know, well, they drive a nice car, they live, you know, always judging. So then when we notice, oh, I'm judging, is that serving me to compare myself or to think that I'm better than or worse than? No, that comes from my worldview, my imprinting of how I grew up, you know, and just kind of floating it through instead of beating myself up, be like, oh, that's where that comes from. And is that how I want to feel? Is that how I want to go through the rest of my day? You know? So the noticing improves with our practice and sometimes with the guidance of our friends or other people. It isn't a talent that just some people are born with. Like, we have to work at being self-aware. It doesn't require your special abilities or spiritual beliefs or a specific environment. Years ago, I told Frank, well, I can't meditate until I get a good meditation chair. He goes, really? That's what that's going to take, honey. You sitting down and just being still will work perfectly when you have the right chair, right? And then we get the right chair, and then it's what? The dog and the birds, like whatever. We can experience the benefits, anyone can experience the benefits of being self-aware. And it's hard to be self-aware and come from a place of love. You know, that constant beating yourself up. But the restlessness, the difficulty focusing, I can't do this, I can't be still, I can't do my breathing, simply isn't true. Like, you just notice, like, why? And different techniques suit different people, so you explore the different things that work well for you. Noticing your thoughts and feelings allows you to understand your patterns of thinking, your emotional responses, and your reactions. So when we practice that self-awareness piece, that mindfulness piece, that knowing that somebody might be like, I can't meditate in stillness, but I love to go for a walk in the woods. When I go for a walk in the woods, I have to tell myself, notice the leaves, notice, you know, see what you see, smell what you smell, hear what you hear, feel what you feel. You know, your body starts to regulate itself. Other people like to exercise. Okay, so that if they're on a treadmill but they're reading a book, are they being mindful about like the movement? No, we always think we have to distract ourselves from ourselves because we don't really like ourselves a lot of the time, right? So if I just sit here and I'm in tune with what my body is feeling and what I'm thinking, I'm responsible for it. So my mother-in-law is self-proclaimed busy. She's like, I can't just sit. I need to go out and do things for other people so that they know I'm a good person. That's important too, to go out and do things for other people. But if you're doing it because I want people to think I'm a good person. I had to think that when I retired. I thought, man, what if I faked being a good person all this time, helping other people? Because in a way I had to back off. I used to feel sick with what a lot of kids deal with, you know? Literally, I would make myself sick and I would think, oh, if I could just bring them home. Or if I brought them clothes and I brought them food and I did all of these things, and it's like, gosh, Lisa, you can't save them all. You just have to be present with them when they're with you, you know, and be in tune with what it is that they need. And so we know if we do that with our children, or I watch my parent, you know, do it with grandchildren, like that moment of being present. I grew up on a farm, and our grandma, one of our grandmas, worked really hard on the farm. What I remember is if we would come into her house, she would stop what she was doing, and she would sit, and she would put her hand on my hand, and she would like look at me and say, "How are you doing?" You know? And like, you're uncomfortable initially, right? But now I appreciate it, and I saw it with my own kids. If I'm like working on something and they're like, Mom, what? You know? But if I stopped and I took them by the hand and I looked at them, they just want to tell you something, and then they run off, and then they're great for like another 15 minutes. But otherwise, they're going to go up that continuum, right? They want your attention, they can't get it, they're going to get agitated, and then they're going to get aggressive, and then they're going to do something to get your attention, you know? So we find that there's a reduced reactivity when we start noticing where we're at. What are we thinking? What are we feeling? How's our body responding? We have improved focus and concentration. Yesterday, when I was in pain, I was heading to the chiropractor, grabbed my coffee mug, went up to the car. I was just so much pain. Went out of the car, put my coffee mug down, started driving to the chiropractor, went to grab my coffee, and it was my water bottle. And I was like, oh my gosh, I swear that it was my coffee. And I was like, well, maybe my body's telling me it's better to drink water than coffee when you have pain. But have you noticed that when you are distracted, right, you're not focused, you can't concentrate, you do stupid things, you trip on something, you know? So just noticing that, man, I am really distracted today. I'm just gonna take a few minutes. I always think, how many of us say when we go to work, so this morning when I was in the shower, I was thinking about, and we tell people, oh, I was in the shower, I was thinking about, because as soon as we get up, you know we have to take a shower, but we start thinking and planning about our whole day. And sometimes I'm like, did I put conditioner in my hair? Like, I can't remember what because I'm not present. So if you start your day, even with a shower, like, just gonna feel the warmth, almost like it's the elements. I'm gonna feel the warmth, it's water, can feel, you know, the breeze that's happening with the fan, like whatever, but I'm checking in, I'm tuning in, I'm being present. When I'm doing dishes, I can be mad that I'm the only one who does dishes, and I can look at it, I'm not doing anything, or I can just be present and grateful that I have a house that I can do dishes in and a family that wants to eat food, right? It's like how we think about it. So we have a greater emotional regulation when we understand and forgive ourselves for where our emotions are coming from. And then ask ourselves, do I want to be like this forever? Do I want to feel like this forever? And then it ultimately reduces that anxiety and stress. So one of the techniques you can do for mindfulness is to stop what you're doing, take a few deep breaths, observe what's going on around you. You can do, have you ever heard when you have a panic attack or you're feeling anxious, you do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like look around, 5 things that are green, 4 things that are blue, 3 things that are yellow, whatever you make up, right? Or 5 things that I can see, 4 things that I can hear. But it refocuses our brain away from that traumatic response or reaction. And as much as we think that we can multitask and that we're doing more than one thing at the same time and we're doing them all well, we're not. We really can't. We might just do them really quickly. So when you say stop, check in, take a deep breath, look around you, you're okay. How do we want to proceed? How are we going to move forward? How do we connect ourselves with our best self? So we got the poke, We got the impulse that we want to be reactive. We pause and take that breath, take that drink of water, walk out of the room, do something to distract your mind. Then we respond. And then we are proud of ourselves for how we interacted. So immediate physical resets, things you can do is to take that deep breath, and you can breathe in through your nose, you can breathe in through your mouth. We do have something that's called the vagus nerve that runs from our brainstem down into our gut and back up. When we hum, or we sing, or we chant, or whatever we speak and our throat is vibrating, it stimulates that vagus nerve, and that vagus nerve is the communication between our gut and our brain, like we're okay, we're not okay. So that deep breathing too, breathing in, or if anybody has taken a yoga class and they're like, breathe in and like making that noise stimulates that vagus nerve, which tells our body we're okay. We're not in immediate flight. Cold water, so splashing water on your face, holding an ice cube in your hand. Again, it stimulates that vagus nerve and breaks that panic loop. So a lot of the things that we were told when we were kids, and we just thought people were telling us what to do, were really things that were to help us regulate our emotions. So the cold water shock, and then kind of taking in everything that's happening around you. Really taking in everything that's happening around you. And most of the time, we are safe. And the more that we practice this, so we do have a fender bender, or we get called to the hospital because somebody's in distress, right? When our body practices this, when we are more regulated, our body it becomes hungry for that feeling, like, ooh, I liked that. Let's do more of that. And so building those new habits, like any habit for diet or exercise or any habit we want to change, it takes 3 weeks? What do they say? 3 weeks? 66 days. But so the more we're practicing this, so when you go for a walk and you walk your dog, instead of being on the phone or listening to music, like say, I'm going to take it in. I'm going to take in. How do my feet feel on the ground? What is the temperature like? Do I feel this cold on my skin or hot on my skin? Or, so when we do that, it's regulating our body. Are you guys okay? Is this again, grounding our focus. So if our mind is racing with all of the what ifs, that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it doesn't matter what these things are, you can make them up right then. Like, don't be like, oh, which color was I supposed to do first? It doesn't matter. We're just trying to ground ourselves. And then I don't know how you guys believe about this, but more and more research to support that being out in the elements helps to regulate our body, right? So trying to get outside, trying to get our kids outside, try to be barefoot when we can, hug a tree when you can. Like, just, have you guys heard the research about the root systems, the trees communicating, right? Like, they're just like waiting, well, these people just relax, like, sit down, have one of my apples.
Hug a tree.
Yes. Information hygiene. It's funny, I felt a little guilty. I was getting some help getting my computer set up, and I had like the 2-digit code that's supposed to come up on my phone. So when I pulled it up, he said, did it come up on your YouTube? And then my YouTube was like, politics. And I was like, oh, I was looking at that today. I can only take in a little bit. Like, I want to be informed, but I don't want to take a deep dive. And it's easy to just look up one thing and then you go down this rabbit hole. So finding for your own self, like, oh, this is really dysregulating me. Like, this is making me sick to my stomach. This is making me angry. I need to take a break. because I can feel it in my stomach, I can feel it in my chest, that cortisol is pumping, and that Lisa Cobb told me that is not good, right? So, you know, just deciding for yourself whether you check it twice a day, don't check it first thing in the morning, don't check it right before you go to bed. You know, spending time with your pet or your friend, just to try to sync up with people around you and doing movement, you know. We don't have to exercise like crazy, but doing some stretching, like noticing. All right, so I'm gonna try to decide if I was gonna do this with you guys. I think I am. How long are we talking?
Maybe 5 more minutes. Is that
All right,
okay?
then we're gonna do this. 50.
50.
All right, let me see. I'm gonna end with a visual meditation, but be okay with being in the unknown. Like, keep coming back to grounding and stabilizing yourself, okay? Because you're worth it. And being pissed off by yourself and incited, and we gotta go do something, like, I think about, and Sue and I were talking about this, I'm not a protester because I'm just way too, if I take in, it's just too much for me. Because I notice everybody, and I notice how everybody's feeling, and I put a story to it, and I'm just like, whoa, and it doesn't make me feel any better. But thank God people protest. And if you go to a protest feeling better when you leave, because you went and did what you wanted to do. Not like, oh, you know, they flipped me off and they did whatever. Like, don't be madder. Be like, this is what I need to do for myself, is to show up. I want people to see numbers. But I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole. I'm not going to ride that elevation up to aggression or violence, because we know that doesn't work. So how am I going to keep myself at my baseline and still go out there and be operating from my best self? So stabilizing yourself is where your power is. And I like this thing, this guy in Mindful Schools, he was like a total hipster, and he was like, right now it's like this. Like, wherever we were, right now it's like this. I was like, it's true. Right now, it's like this. So love is the power that cuts through our fear. Community is the power that we're returning to, I believe. That's what brings me peace, is that, you know, if we don't have enough people to farm our produce, then let's do something and show up and, like, you know, farm our produce locally, you know, go to the farmer's market and support farmers markets and show up to kids events, or like whatever it's gonna take to be like, I don't know you on a personal level, but I care about you, and I want us all to get through this together, you know? So slowing your breathing, touching your heart with your hand, like where you are aware, like wherever you touch, you know? So just be like, oh, I want this to fill my heart. All right, going backwards. You guys willing to do this with me? This comes from Dan Siegel, and he calls this the Wheel of Awareness. And so we're just going to do a very shortened version of it. But I just want you guys to close your eyes and sit with your feet flat on the floor if you can, kind of straight up, so that we get that breath into our belly. Do a little different. I'm not going to do that. So closing your eyes, breathing into your belly, still. And in your mind, in front of you, using your imagination, I want you to see one person on this earth that every time they're standing in front of you, you feel that love. And if it's not a person, it can be a pet. but they just bring you joy. You're happy to see them. Put your hand on your heart. You can put both hands on your heart if you'd like. And just feel that love that you feel for them in your heart. And smile back at them. And now I want you to visualize your family, your immediate family. Sometimes they drive us crazy. Sometimes we love them to the moon. Just visualize them and send them all your love from your heart to their heart. Breathe that in. And then in your mind's eye, visualize your extended family. They might be scattered all over the globe. Just visualize them and send them all love from your heart. And then visualize your home and your neighborhood. And in your mind's eye, send your home and your neighborhood love. Whether you know your neighbors, whether you like your neighbors, whether you don't like your neighbors, just send everybody in your neighborhood love. And then visualize your county that you live in. And I kind of have to visualize it like I'm a satellite. I'm looking down. And send everybody in your county love. And then visualize all of the state of Michigan and send everybody who lives in the state of Michigan your love. And then visualize the United States of America. And send the United States of America your love. And then visualize North America, the continent of North America, and send everybody on our continent your love. And visualize that everybody's looking around like, wow, I feel a bunch of love from this place. And then visualize all of the continents on our planet. And send all of the continents on our planet love. And then visualize all of Earth, all of Mother Earth, all of her water, all of the creatures, big and small. Visualize the globe as if you're in outer space and send our planet love. And then come back in to all of the continents. Come back in to our continent. Come back into the United States of America. Come back into Michigan. Come into our county. Come into this building. Come to yourself. Hands on your heart. And give yourself all of that love. You are a good person. You are worthy. You are beautiful. And know that anytime you feel lost, you feel overwhelmed, you can expand that love that's in your heart out into your entire body and go all the way around the planet. And you will have done good. You will have done your part. breathe in one more time. Breathe out. And slowly open your eyes and wiggle your fingers and toes and come on back to this space. How was that? Good? So, if you never see me again, what do you want me to know? Is there anything you want to share or any questions that you have?
I'm very glad you came.
Oh, good. Good. Thank you for sharing that.
And you?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this was really good, just to think about those things. I'm just wondering if you would ever want to do any types of like group classes or something like that too, because I could see needing to go through something like, you know, the talk meditation and whatever, a couple times a month or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't know, is that something you're considering, or is it?
I feel like it's my purpose. I feel like, what was it, Steve Martin that said that? I have a purpose. Like I feel like I love doing this.
Right.
It's good for me too, to be able to come and connect with other people. So yeah, that's kind of what I hope the next phase in my life is. I just want to do one last thing. The way of the miracle worker is to see all human behavior as one of two things, either love or a call for love. And then I love to do this. This is how I like to end. Okay, we're gonna put our hands on our heart, and we're gonna say these things, but I think I want to do it like this. I want you to repeat after me and feel it in your heart. I wish for me to be healthy. I wish for me to be happy.
I wish for me to be happy.
I wish for me to be safe.
I wish for me to be safe.
I wish for me to be peaceful.
I wish for me to be peaceful.
And I wish for me to have joy in my life.
I wish for me to have joy in my life.
Now we're going to put our hands out like this, and we're going to send it to each other. I wish for you to be happy.
I wish for you to be happy.
I wish for you to be healthy.
I wish for you to be healthy.
I wish for you to be safe.
I wish for you to be safe.
I wish for you to be peaceful.
I wish for you to be peaceful.
And I wish for you to have joy in your life.
I wish for you to have joy in your life.
Ah, good.